Is Kobeni finally coming back? Well, the chances aren't zero, with a very subtle but strong tease towards Kobeni finding a way out of the amazing digital circus to the world of Chainsaw Man. And honestly, both are pretty much hellholes, so it'll be a lateral move at best for her. This chapter picks up with the gang taking Denji to eat some sushi, but on the way there, things really sink in that the world has changed and, not for the better. The first thing we see is Denji reacting to a dead body with chainsaws sticking out of his head and arms. Denji is pretty shocked to see this. After all, he had been in a facility chopped up into bits, so he really wasn't able to see what had become of the world since then. He questions if what he's seeing is really real, and Haruta acknowledges it but doesn't really seem bothered by it. He's used to it. This chapter was pretty brilliant in using the world around Denji to show that their world has sort of reached its end, at least the end of normal. At least that's what I see when I observe what is happening in Japan. Even the people have gotten used to what is going around them, especially the teenagers. Haruta acts as if this is an everyday thing and isn't even shocked by it any longer. It's just the experience of living in Japan now, which to any of us would be shocking, but to them, this is regular life. It also feels as if Denji in this chapter is the only one who can really see what is happening around him. Asa says sights like these are to be expected and go on talking about where they're going to eat, and it just kind of comes off as like they're living almost in their own little bubble, so to speak. She starts by saying the best sushi place is in Dinya, but that place closed down because its chef died. Their next choice would be Marudea, but that place burned down, so now the only place left to go for sushi is Sushi-Shi, a budget chain that has a reputation for using fresh fish. And side note, I think it's pretty funny that Bro Benny went to Sushi-Shi to only have tea? Granted, he said it was some good tea, but how the hell, by the way, can you even mess up tea? I feel like around the world, you would think that, tea is almost kind of like soup. It's pretty hard to mess up unless you're going out of your way to use a bad product to begin with. Anyways, mild neurodivergent behavior from me aside, can we commend that Fami was somehow able to string together sentences with coherent thought? I truly thought that she would never be able to say anything ever again other than elbow, but she proves me wrong. It's a Christmas miracle! Anyways, Denji looks across the train to see what looks like a mother and child, both pretty gravely injured. And here's the thing. This scene looks so strange out of context, and I think that's the point. Let me cook here. This is sort of a scene you'd see in a third world war-torn country. A woman and a child relying on one another, sleeping with the backdrop of their destroyed homes. It's just so strange that this is Japan, and also it's happening on a high-tech train, right? That's what's crazy about it. This image is so incongruent to the world Denji was in just a few weeks prior, and sure, it was getting pretty bad during that time as well, but the cities are all now destroyed, which is just kind of depressing, isn't it? So Denji, probably wanting to talk about anything but whatever is happening in Japan, asks Asa to remind him why she wants to fight him. And initially, she just says that if she can beat him, then he will be saved, and rightfully, Denji asks if she's still brainwashed by the Chainsaw Man Church. So she gets Fami to explain. She explains that Denji's heart is what makes him Chainsaw Man. It is the power of the contract, and the terms of it require him to live a normal life. So if they can break that contract, the heart's owner, the real Chainsaw Man will emerge. From there, all they need to do is defeat the real Chainsaw Man to take his heart out and transplant to another human heart, which will save Denji and turn him back into just a regular old human. Now, there is a part of me that wonders if this is what Denji would want. It's clear to some degree that being Chainsaw Man brings him both purpose, yet so much pain and torture. Yet, just observe the world around them too. Is being Chainsaw Man now that bad of a thing in this climate? Long term, sure, but in this world, I'd surmise that being Chainsaw Man has some distinct advantages, with everything being destroyed and everyone dying randomly. Plus, what will they do with Chainsaw Man once he is separated from Denji's body? It's super interesting to think about. So Denji asks Fami how she knows about this, but she says absolutely nothing, choosing instead to use her default character pose, which is a mild case of scoliosis. So Denji has some serious reservations about this. After all, this is a woman in Chainsaw Man telling him to do something, right? But Asa reaffirms to him that she helped her rescue him. And like, yeah, she's done some pretty bad things before, probably a bit of an understatement by Asa, but her heart is generally in a location we could consider all right to fairly decent. So I guess they're both trying to help him, right? Says Asa to Fami, but someone forgot to blow into the cartridge, so she says nothing. Denji continues asking her when she says normal, what does that even mean? Well, Asa tells him, saying it means returning to his old life, going to school every day, and having a home to return home to. She reassures him that Nayata will turn up too, that maybe the police are keeping her safe and she just doesn't know how to contact him. Yeah, all right, Asa, sure. Sure, but she tries her best to tell Denji that his life will return to normal. And when I first read this page, I found it kinda cute because Asa is genuinely trying her best to do the right thing by Denji. It also shows how highly she thinks of him as well, because in Asa's mind, Denji is a normal dude living a normal life, and as we know, for Asa, that's something she isn't. She's never obtained or had that once. So to me, there is some inherent meaning in her words that expresses her genuine appreciation for Denji, if not for who he is, then for who she thinks he is. It's also pretty rare we see someone try to actually help Denji in this way. We never really see people trying to help Denji solve his personal issues. Usually he's just strung along or abused. So just another reason why Asa-den is the only way, my friends. Someone draft up that art of Asa kissing Denji's head while Rize looks on at them smiling or crying, either one. So Denji asks Asa about poop paper. Ugh. More exactly, toilet paper, and if she's eaten any. I'd surmise she hasn't. So he tells her this story about how as a kid, when he got hungry, he would eat the public park bathroom's toilet paper, but once he stopped going hungry because he was starving, he wasn't able to eat toilet paper any longer. So I just think about the torture that this poor boy has went through. Denji was starving for so long that he lost the ability to feel hungry, that in turn made it impossible for him to eat the thing that was sustaining his life to begin with. He just couldn't do it. That's the, quote, normal, unquote, life Denji has lived. In other words, it was not as normal as Asa thought it was or would be. So Asa Mitaka, being confused for some reason, asks him to not speak in vague metaphors. Ah yes, because outright saying he grew up starving to the point of eating toilet paper was a metaphor. At this point, I have to ask, how does Asa function? Anyways, he straight up tells her that he will never go back to being normal again, and I love this shot because in the background there are destroyed office buildings on fire. This is a visual representation of how Denji's world and the world at large are never going to go back to the way it was before. The old ways of the world are now abnormal, and the new normal is destruction and chaos. Fun. Asa takes in what he said, which, gotta give Fujimoto props with the facial expressions of Asa here. She looks absolutely at her wit's end hearing Denji say this to her. So with her head facing the ground, like Denji, like boyfriend, like girlfriend, I guess, she says that he can because she's the only one that's going to give back his life, reassuring him that it'll be okay because she will save him no matter what. Y'all, this was so romantic, right? Am I not the only one that thought that? Either way, let's see the various ways this rom-com will crash and burn into success. Seriously though, I think it's brave of Asa to take responsibility for Denji's well-being and future. It is a lot to take on, and she doesn't have to do it, but because of Denji saving her from dying, she feels that she owes him her life, pretty much. So when she is saying this, her face shows determination to achieve this goal. She's dead serious. Also as well, death flags galore, but because it's Fujimoto, I also can't tell if this is just my mind playing tricks on me or if he's doing this on purpose. Like, did you guys actually think that when you read this page? I don't think Asa is dying, don't get me wrong. It would be too much for Denji, and I think sort of derails the story too much since she is, you know, the main character after all, but I would just love to know, was I alone in that, or am I just stupid? Katana Man has some thoughts hearing all of this as he takes a drag from his cigarette.
Kids these days are wusses, whining on and on like women. Well, goddamn, Arthur, killing Chainsaw Woman won't avenge my granddad. He'd turn over in his grave.
To which Asa rightfully tells him to cut Denji some slack and to stop smoking, so he continues.
I know a place that's guaranteed to perk up any man in one shot. Forget sushi, we should shove the kid in there. A soapland brothel. That's where we'll take him. Nothing cheers up a man faster than boning a woman, Arthur.
Seriously. Petition to change his name to Boomerman, please. This guy straight up called Denji a chainsaw woman for having feelings. This is one big case of boomeritis if I've ever seen one, but it's also pretty interesting from a writing perspective too. Katana seems to be holding on to the way that things used to be while Denji and Asa are trying to accept the way the world is. It's interesting to have Katana Man act in this manner when the world around him has changed so much. If anything, what Denji needs is help, not sex, because pro advice, sex doesn't solve your problems. In fact, it often will make them way worse than if you would just let them fester. But hey, at least we know Katana Man is now the Boomer Devil too, with the powerful ability to be insanely out of touch. Also, ladies and gentlemen, Kobeni is back! Okay, but seriously, Kobeni may be coming back in the next set of chapters if they go to the brothel. The reason is that way back in Chainsaw Man Part 1, Kobeni revealed that her parents only ever cared for her younger, more gifted brother and forced her to either work as a devil hunter or to become a sex worker to pay for his college. Well, guess what? Robeni is being put through school currently, and he is the more gifted one she spoke of. And with them currently on the train together, well, we know that Kobeni doesn't work with public safety. We also know her options. We also know Boomerman wants to go to a brothel. Who in the Chainsaw Man universe is most likely to work at a brothel? That's right, the sloppy blowjob devil, Kobeni. Kobeni is back, everyone. We won! Yes, we won! But okay, really, if Kobeni is coming back, Brobeni is gonna be pretty scarred because he's gonna see her at a brothel. Also, the fact that she tried to kill Katana Man before, well, yeah, that's probably gonna be an interesting meeting. All around, from like every perspective you could think of. Everyone's gonna have something to say about it. Granted, I don't think it's gonna lead to a fight between Katana and Kobeni. Why would it? Because Boomerman said himself he doesn't want to fight a chainsaw woman, so by his own boomer logic, Kobeni is a woman, and thus cannot fight her. Checkmate, Boomer. This chapter was just so good. I think the big takeaway of Asa's continued pursuit to please others is finally being steered in the right direction to save someone who actually deserves saving. We joke all the time about how much of a girl failure she is, but when she shows these moments where she wants to save Denji, it really washes all of those things away pretty quickly. In other words, she tries her hardest in the face of a lot of shit to do what is right. She's a cool character with many layers, and that's generally why I think she's one of, if not, the best characters in Chainsaw Man. I also think she'll succeed too, mostly because this is Denji's lowest moment, and I don't think it can get any worse. I mean, he's lost Nayata, Power, Aki, Meowie. Can we throw Makima in there? I guess we could, and he quite literally has nobody left to turn to. Nobody. It's still left to be determined if what Fami says is true and to be trusted. The same with Asa. So if they can prove to be trustworthy, Denji may end up growing stronger with a new group of people he can call his own. I think the next chapters will tell a lot about their intentions and if they are pure or not. We will just have to wait and see what will happen. But what we do know is that the only person left in Denji's corner may in fact be Asa Mitaka. Things are pretty dire for Denji, but not without a little bit of hope. All right, thank you everyone for the last video's insane success. It got over 9,000 views, and that was after several delays due to internet outages. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate everyone for their continued support, and very soon I will have something special, a way to thank everyone for that support. I hope everyone enjoyed this chapter, and I hope you're ready because Bi-Weekly Devil is dead and buried, everyone. New chapter next week. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye-bye.